Welcome once again to a discussion of G-Mains exam recently conducted on 2020 September 2, Shift 2 exam. We are going to discuss in this session. Once again, welcome all. This is Divagaran sir from Professor PC Thomas classes, Thrissur, Kerala. Can we start? Right. First question. Simplified absorption spectra of three complexes 1, 2 and 3 of Mn to Mn plus ion are given. Their lambda maximum values are marked in the diagram as A, B, C respectively. The correct match between the complexes and their lambda max values. That is the question. So, absorption of wavelength is marked as A, B, C for three complexes. What are the three complexes? All metal atom are same. All metal atom are same. But the ligands are differing. Here in the first case, thiocyanate you have the ligand, and in the second case it is fluoride the ligand, and the third case it is ammonia acting as ligand. So what is the logic of answering this question? It is based on the spectrochemical activity of the ligand, the strength of the ligand. What is the nature of the ligand? The three ligands, thiocyanate and fluoride and ammonia, right? It is well quoted in the textbook, a exact order of arrangement of experimental observation of strength of ligands according to so-called spectrochemical series. Once you know the order, you can easily answer, but be very careful. It is referring to wavelength. Wavelength. As you must understand, the strength of ligand comes in the order ammonia is maximum, and then it is NCS, and fluoride is minimum. So fluoride is a weak field ligand, while ammonia is a relatively stronger ligand. When in case of a stronger ligand, all of you know crystal field splitting will be larger. In case of a stronger ligand, the crystal field splitting will be larger. When the crystal field splitting is larger, the energy absorbed is larger, the frequency absorbed is larger, and the wavelength absorbed is minimum. So lambda will be minimum for ammonia and lambda will be maximum for fluoride, while the energy will be maximum for ammonia and energy will be minimum for fluoride. That is the logic. So lambda minimum you can identify from the diagram given. You can identify from the diagram given. This is minimum value, then comes this, then comes this. So minimum lambda, that is A, stands for ammonia related complex. Minimum value, that is A, that is for ammonia. So A with 3. A with 3, straight away you get your answer. A with 3, only one choice. Then B is with 1, that is the next one, and C with the minimum, that is minimum energy, that is maximum wavelength for the fluoride complex, that is 2. So A with 3, B with 1 and C with 2, that is the correct choice. A related problem or a similar problem there in NCERT textbook also in the exercise part, and the theoretical idea explained in the textual content. Okay, next question. The results given in the below table were obtained during kinetic studies of the following reaction. A reaction is quoted, 2A plus B giving C plus D. The experimental observations 1 to 5 is tabulated. Concentration of A, concentration of B, and the initial rate is given. Initial rate is given. Now, in the table, there are two data which is put blank. That is given as X and Y. And the question is, what is X and Y? Usually in such a question, we know they ask you to find out the order of the reaction. But here, you have to find the order of the reaction, then you have to fill in the data which is mixing as given as X and Y. So first we all have to identify what is the order with respect to A and what is order with respect to B. How to find the order with respect to A and B? How to find the order with respect to A and B? We know R is equal to K into concentration of X, concentration of A raised to X and concentration of B raised to Y, where X is the order with respect to the reactant A and Y is the order with respect to reactant B. That can be obtained from the remaining data. Suppose you are investigating data 1 and 2. Suppose you are investigating data 1 and 2. You can get the value of Y. You can get the value of Y. Please investigate. Please have a mathematical thinking over the data given. Over the data given 1 and 2. I am considering data 1 and 2. Where you can find the concentration of A is fixed. Concentration of A is fixed while the concentration of B doubles. Concentration of A is constant while the concentration of B 0.1 becomes 0.2. That means concentration of B doubles. While you can find the rate becomes, you see what is the change in rate? 6 into 10 power minus 3 becomes 2.4 into 10 power minus 2. 2.4 into 10 power minus 2, you know it is 24 into 10 power minus 3. So 6 becomes 24. 6 becomes 24. That is 4 times increase. So when the concentration of B is doubled, the rate becomes 4 times. Then what is the order? What is the power that is given to the B value? When this is doubled, when the concentration of B is doubled, keeping the concentration of A fixed, concentration of A fixed, and we are doubling the concentration of B, you can find the rate becomes 4 times. That means the power for B, that is Y, it is 2 times. So the order with respect to B is 2 times. I am not writing, you can think mathematically, easily you can conclude. See what is the change happening in observation 1 and 2. Concentration of A remain fixed, concentration of B becomes 0.1 to 0.2, that is doubling, and the rate becomes 6 into 10 power minus 3 becomes 2.4 into 10 power minus 2, that is 24 into 10 power minus 3. Now 6 becomes 24, that means 4 times increase. So upon doubling the concentration of B, keeping the concentration of A constant, rate becomes 4 times, means the power is 2. So we got one order with respect to B. Now what is the order with respect to A? That you can easily find out. That you can easily find out taking data 1 and 3. Taking data 1 and 3, you can find out the power with reference to A. How is that? You see concentration of 1 and 3, concentration of B remain constant while concentration of A becomes 2 times. 0.1 becomes 0.2. Please consider data 1 and 3, experimental observation 1 and 3. So A becomes double while B is kept constant. When B constant and A double, what is happening to the rate? You say 6 into 10 power minus 3 becomes 1.2 into 10 power minus 2, that is 12 into 10 power minus 3. So 6 becomes 12. That means the rate is doubled. You can find the rate is doubled. So upon doubling the concentration of A, rate becomes doubled. While B concentration is fixed and A concentration is doubled, rate becomes doubled. That means you get the value of X by considering the data 1 and 3. So considering data 1 and 3, we get an idea X is equal to 1. How is X is equal to 1? In 1 and 3, concentration of B remain constant. While A 0.1 becomes 0.2. That is, A is doubled. Upon doubling A, the rate becomes 6 into 10 power minus 3 becomes 12 into 10 power minus 3. That is, rate becomes doubled. So doubling A, rate becomes doubled. Therefore, the power for A, that is order with respect to A, is 1. So we get an idea. R is equal to K into concentration A raised to 1 and concentration B raised to 2. We got the rate equation. Once you get the rate equation, you can fill in the remaining data. That is what asked for the question. Now, how to identify the X and Y? Let's have a look at how to identify X and Y. How to identify? Let's have a look at. To find out X, I would say you can take the data 2 and 4. I would say to find out X, you can take the data 2 and 4, where the concentration of B is remaining constant. Concentration of B remain constant 0.2, 0.2. Now we need to identify how much is the change coming here. A concentration is 0.1. A concentration is 0.1. And what is the concentration of A? That is X, for which you can investigate what is happening to the rate. You see 2.4 into 10 power minus 2 becomes 7.2 into 10 power minus 2. That means 2.4 becomes 7.2. That means 3 times. The rate becomes 3 times. Remember, concentration of B remain constant. Remember, concentration of B remain constant. Rate becomes 3 times. See, what is the power for A? What is the power for A? It is 1. You see that? Power for A is 1. You see, a change in concentration of A, rate becomes 3 times. That means concentration of A is made 3 times. So when the concentration of A made 3 times, the rate will become 3 times, provided concentration of B remain constant. Right? That means the value X is 3 times of this value, 0.1, and X becomes 3 times, that is 0.3. So X is equal to 0.3. Rather, I would make use of capital X because another X is there. X is equal to 0.3, which is 3 times the value of A at observation 2. So the concentration X we got, it is 0.3. X we got as 0.3. Now we need to find out Y. For which you can identify or examine the observation 4 and 5. You can examine the observation 4 and 5. In 4, it is 0.3 and 0.3. The concentration of A remain constant. Concentration of A remain 0.3, 0.3. Now, what is happening to, that means the concentration of A doesn't change. What is happening to the concentration of B? For which you can identify what is happening to this data and this data. You see, 7.2 into 10 power minus 2 becomes 2.88 into 10 power minus 1. 7.2 into 10 power minus 2 becomes 2.8 into 10 power minus 1. That is 28.8 into 10 power minus 2. That means it becomes how much times? How much times? 4 times. 4 times. So the rate becomes 4 times. So rate becomes 4 times. What will be the change in concentration of B? Rate becomes 4 times. Rate becomes 4 times. This becomes 4 times. While this is remaining constant, there is a change in concentration of B. That means upon doubling B, upon doubling B, 2 square, this will become 4 times. So rate has become 4 times. That means B concentration has been doubled. What is the concentration in the fourth experiment? 0.2. What will be the concentration in the fifth experiment? That is, we need to find out Y. It will be doubling 0.2 and the value Y will be, it is 2 times 0.4. So X is 0.3 and Y is 0.4 and hence you get your answer option 2 as the correct answer, 0.3 and 0.4. It's an above average question, but the question which you can definitely do. First of all, we have to find out the order of A and B. Then we have to investigate and find out what is the missing concentration in the table. Such questions are there in the exercise part of NCERT textbook. Next question. Third question. If you spill a chemical toilet cleaning liquid on your hand, your first aid would be. See, what is the major constituent in toilet cleaning liquids? Basically, it contains somewhat 10% weight by volume of HCl is a common content that you need to understand. Somewhat 10% approximately weight by volume percentage of HCl is a common content in toilet cleaning liquids. So when it is contaminated or when it is applied on your hands, or there will be some sort of irritation. So what do you do? What do you do? See, HCl can be neutralized by ammonia. HCl can be neutralized by NaOH, but you can't take NaOH because that is corrosive in nature. You can't take NaOH, that is corrosive in nature. No problem, you can take ammonia. It is some suffocating character role, but still ammonia interact with HCl, you get ammonium chloride, that too remain acidic. Now vinegar is an acid, acetic acid. So acid with acid, no possible, and the correct answer is a simple question. It is sodium bicarbonate, sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate will interact with HCl that is spilled to your hands, and you will get NaCl and H2O. The neutral characters are formed and it is completely neutralized based on a fundamental point of application regarding the corrosive nature of chemical and safety features you apply in the laboratory. Okay, next question. The major product of the following reaction is, you are given with a compound which is a derivative of phenol containing CH3 group and NO2 group. You know the nature of OH, CH3, NO2 groups, etc. You know this is activating group and is orthopara directing. This is activating group and it is orthopara directing, and this is deactivating group and meta directing. We are talking about nitration happening in this molecule. Nitration happening in this molecule. So ortho position of this, there can be substitution. Para position of this, there can be substitution. Ortho position of this and meta position of this, there can be substitution. That means various possibilities are there. Various possibilities are there. But upon a simple look at, you can identify which will be your correct answer. You see, this can be obtained, no problem. That can be obtained, no problem. This can be obtained and that can be obtained. But we have to select which is the most suitable answer. Now, no doubt about it, it will be the second choice because that is the least hindered molecule satisfying the positional orientation. The positional orientation of the guest group is satisfied. That can be satisfied in all cases, I believe. But we have to consider the steric reasons also. Considering the steric fact and the orientation fact, we can go for a most suitable answer, which is option 2. A new nitro group may be introduced at this position, and it is the least hindered molecule among the 4. Okay. Next question. The number of subshells associated with the n equal to 4 and m equal to minus 2, n equal to 4, m equal to minus 2 quantum numbers, subshells. You are well aware of when it is n equal to 4, there can be L equal to 0, there can be L equal to 1, there can be L equal to 2, there can be L equal to 3. It is S subshell, P subshell, D subshell and F subshell. But there is one more point commented, it is M should be minus 2. M minus 2 is possible only in these 2 cases. While in the first 2 cases L equal to 0, there is no possibility of M equal to minus 2. In the second case L equal to 1, the M value you know minus 1, 0, plus 1. When you come to these 2, there can be minus 2, 0, plus 2. You see, minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2. Minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, like that. So, minus 2 value is possible only in the 2 cases, that is a d orbital and f orbital, and your answer is 2 subshells are possible, D and F. Answer is the second choice. 2 subshells are possible. Okay, simple question. Next. The shape structure of XeF5 minus and XeO3F2 respectively. So first case, it is XeF5. XeF5 minus will go for a hybridization, 8 valence electrons in the central atom, 5 surrounding bonding characters and 1 anionic charge divided by 2. So it is, you are getting 7. 7 will go for sp3d3 hybridization. sp3d3 hybridization, which will come out to be like this. A pentagonal system where you have Xe at the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now there are 5 fluorines, so definitely it's going to be 5 fluorine like this in the plane and 2 lone pairs like this, that will go for pentagonal planar. Pentagonal planar, and hence you get your answer as option 3, pentagonal planar. And let us examine whether it is coming trigonal bipyramidal in the second case. It is XeO3F2 will go for 8 valence electrons, 2 surrounding monovalent atom, neutral species, so you get 5. 5 will go for sp3d hybridization. sp3d hybridization will make xenon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there are 3 oxygen and 2 fluorine. 3 oxygen and 2 fluorine. It will go for divalent oxygen, divalent oxygen, divalent oxygen, and a fluorine coming like this, which go for trigonal bipyramidal geometry. Trigonal bipyramidal geometry, and hence the answer is option 3. Next question. The one that is not expected to show isomerism. First compound is a well-known compound giving cis and trans, cisplatin. Cisplatin is a well-known compound used for chemotherapy. So there is cis and trans configuration, a square planar complex, PT-NS3 twice Cl2, diamine dichlorido platinum 2 complex, which is a square planar complex, and that shows cis and trans. The point is not expected to show. Second one is an octahedral complex. 4 ammonia and 2 water molecules. 4 ammonia and 2 water molecules. That also can give you geometrical isomerism because that is of the type complex Ma4B2. You know, Ma4B2 can show geometrical isomerism. Ma4B2 complex can show geometrical isomerism, right? It will give you cis and trans. See, A coming like, sorry, it is B2, no? It is BB coming like this and A coming like that. This is cis configuration. This is cis configuration, and this B coming on the opposite side, it will go for trans configuration. So, square planar complex Ma2B2, first type. A square planar complex Ma2B2 can show geometrical isomerism. An octahedral complex Ma4B2 can show geometrical isomerism, cis and trans. Third one, NiNH3 4 times Cl2. That too is Ma2B2 type complex, but that don't show isomerism. Why? Because that is a tetrahedral complex. This is a tetrahedral complex, and the complex is nickel with such a character. There is one ammonia here, and there is one ammonia here, and there is a chlorine here and chlorine here. I am sure all of you know a tetrahedral complex cannot show geometrical isomerism. It is simply commended any type of isomerism, but any type of isomerism, it is not possible here. It cannot show geometrical isomerism, it cannot show optical isomerism. To show optical isomerism, such a molecule, all of you know, it should give MABCD. It is Ma2B2, so it cannot show optical isomerism. It cannot show geometrical isomerism, as the distance from this to this, this to this, this to this, this to this, between the ligands, the distance is identical, equidistant. How can it be cis and trans? Now, the last one, fourth one, it is NiEN 3 times octahedral complex with a bidentate ligand like ethylene diamine. It can perform optical isomerism. It can perform optical isomerism. So, the fourth one can perform optical isomerism. First one can perform cis-trans isomerism. Second one also can perform cis-trans isomerism, while the third one cannot. And you are able to understand that answer. Suppose even when you don't know what is the hybridization and shape of the C, to understand that is the answer, you must know it is sp3 hybridized and tetrahedral geometry. That you must know. Even if you don't know, you can answer this question, because these molecules are well explained in the various part of the textbook. Example 1, 2, 3 are explained in the various part of textbook. So they show isomerism, and the one which even if we don't know, you can answer that as the suitable choice. Next question. The correct observation in the following reaction is sucrose, glycosidic bond cleavage, hydrolyzes, you get A and B. You know A and B are glucose and fructose. Glucose and fructose treated for Selivanov's reagent. That is one point which we observe in this exam, out of syllabus content. That is never discussed in any part of our textbook. So that we can consider as a out of syllabus content. Only the last part, Selivanov's reagent, known after Theodore Selivanov, who has introduced a test for identifying aldose and ketose. So that test is meant for identifying aldose and ketose. It is meant for distinguishing aldose and ketose. Please understand, ketose undergo easy dehydration. That is the logic of this test. Ketose undergo easy dehydration product, and that can react with the Selivanov's reagent, which is nothing but a well-known molecule to you, resorcinol. Resorcinol. right? Resorcinol. Ketose can easily react with the undergo dehydration and giving some furfural like molecule, and it can further react with the resorcinol. It react with the resorcinol. All of you know this is 1,3-hydroxybenzene, 1,3-dihydroxybenzene, resorcinol, and it gives a red colored product. It gives a red colored product. This is the red colored product obtained. This is the red colored product obtained and is considered as a test for distinguishing aldose and ketose. Sucrose upon hydrolysis, you get glucose and fructose. Glucose is a aldose, while fructose is a ketose. Ketose immediately or readily react with the Selivanov's reagent, that is resorcinol, giving a red colored compound, and the answer is first choice. Formation of a red color. While the reaction with the aldol, it is not that much feasible. It may react very slowly, giving a pale pink colored compound or so. Right? That is a question which actually we have one point which is not explained or which we don't learn in the textbook area. So we can consider that as a out of syllabus question as far as, see, basically from the out of periphery idea of the textbook content we have. Selivanov's reagent. The answer is first choice. You get a red colored product with the ketose. Fructose is a ketose. Next question. Match the type of interaction in column A with the distance dependence of their interaction energy in column B. This question, I believe the official key declared is bit wrong. Official key declared is bit wrong. See, A, ion-ion interaction. Ion-ion interaction is directly proportional to, a choice. In the column, it is related to A. Ion-ion interaction is inversely proportional to the distance between the ion. So, first one will match with the A. First one will match with the A. So, fourth choice is deleted. Now, dipole-dipole interaction. Dipole-dipole interaction, you know, it is referred in the textbook. For solid molecules where there is no translational movement is possible, it is inversely related to third power of the distance. So second one may match with the C. Second one may match with the C. Suppose it is moving molecules, it may match with the D also. It may match with the D also. Anyway, 2D is not possible to take a combination because already we have deleted fourth choice. Now, third one, London dispersion forces, you know, it is matching with the D. Third one match with the D. So, first one matches with the A. Second one can be matched with the C. For solid polar molecules, solid molecules means the translational motion is restricted. The interaction energy is inversely related to the third power of distance between them. So, second choice matches with the C. And the third choice definitely matches with the D. So, the correct choice is the first one. But I think the official answer key declared is somewhat 2 or 3. 3 I believe, that is the official key declared, which is somewhat wrong. Where in 3, second one is matches with the B. Second one cannot be matched with the B. B may stand for ion dipole interaction. For ion dipole interaction, we can match 1 by R square. Ion dipole interaction, you can match with the 1 by R square. Ion dipole interaction. This one you can match for ion dipole interaction. But that is not the comment in the matching choice. It is dipole-dipole interaction. Dipole-dipole interaction in the solid state. For example, HCl in the solid state, you can go for the relation 1 by R raised to 3. Okay. So the correct possible choice is first one. Okay. Next one. The major product obtained from E2 elimination of 3-bromo-2-fluoropentane. 3-bromo-2-fluoropentane. This is pentane, 3-bromo and 2-fluoropentane. CH3, CH2, CH, CH, CH3. We are talking about elimination product. Please understand, fluorine cannot be eliminated under normal conditions. It is bromine easily eliminated because it is a better leaving group. So, bromine can be eliminated easily, no doubt. So, this is bromine eliminated, and hydrogen may be eliminated from here so that you get a double bond over this region. Hydrogen may be eliminated from here so that you get a double bond over this region, and definitely the second one, this will take place so that there is a double bond coming here, because it comes in conjugation with the highly electronegative fluorine with the lone pair of electrons. Fluorine carrying lone pair of electrons comes under conjugation, and hence the double bond may come there, and the product will be CH3, CH2, CH double bond C, F, CH3. That will be the answer. That will be the answer, and anyway, first and second choice are out with 3 and 4. When you compare, 3 will be your correct answer. 3 will be the correct choice. 1 and 2 you can just delete because their fluorine is eliminated, keeping bromine. Never happens. Bromine is a better leaving group. Next question. The size of a raw mango shrink to a much smaller size when kept in a concentrated salt solution. Which one of the following process can explain this? A fundamental question, straight down question, easy question. It's osmosis. Osmosis. All of you know second choice. Osmosis. While dialysis, diffusion, reverse osmosis, you know the points related to that. I don't have to explain. Next question. Consider the reaction sequence given below. Consider the reaction sequence given below. Reaction 1, reaction 2. The point is to have a look at over here. This is a unimolecular reaction, and this is SN1 mechanism. Bromine is replaced with the OH. And this is a bimolecular reaction. This is a bimolecular reaction, and this is SN2 reaction. So for SN1 reaction, it is a unimolecular first order kinetics. Only the concentration of alkyl halide is influencing the rate of the reaction. You must understand, for SN1 reaction, the rate of the reaction is R is equal to K into concentration of Rx. That is what actually SN1. Substitution nucleophile, unimolecular reaction, first order kinetics. Suppose it is SN2, as in the second case. SN2, the rate of the reaction is equal to K into concentration of Rx into concentration of nucleophile, and hence it is a bimolecular reaction, second order kinetics. Understanding this logic, you may get your answer. Let's have a look at. First, we have to find out the true statement. We have to identify the true statement. Which one is a true statement? First one, doubling the concentration of base will double the rate of both the reactions. Wrong. Doubling the concentration of base will double the rate of the reaction in this case, not in this case, because the concentration of nucleophile has least in influence over the rate of the reaction. So first statement is wrong. First statement is wrong. Changing the concentration of base will have no effect on reaction 2. Wrong. When you change the concentration of base, this is OH minus. See, nucleophile there is base. This is OH minus in the reaction. So doubling the concentration of OH minus definitely double the rate of the reaction as far as the second reaction is concerned, because it is SN2 mechanism. So that statement is also wrong. So this is wrong. This is also wrong. Third statement. Changing the concentration of base will have no effect on reaction 1. Absolutely. That is the true statement. This is our correct answer. Changing the concentration of base will have no effect on rate of the reaction 1, because there is no influence. A change in concentration of alkyl halide will affect the rate of the reaction. So that statement is wrong. That is our answer. Let's have a look at the fourth statement also. Changing the base from OH minus to OR minus will have no effect on reaction 2. That's a wrong statement. When the base changes, when the nucleophile changes, definitely it is going to influence the reaction. See, a reaction is influenced by the nature of the nucleophile also. Nature of the nucleophile, charge of the nucleophile, size of the nucleophile, strength of the nucleophile, bulkiness of the nucleophile, everything will influence the rate of the reaction, especially in this reaction. So that statement is also wrong statement. Correct answer is third choice. Okay, next question. Arrange the following labeled hydrogens in decreasing order of acidity. Decreasing order of acidity. The various hydrogen given A, B, C, D. A is with alkyne, it is acidic, feebly acidic. B is with the carboxylic acid, and C is with OH group, D is with the OH group. So definitely no doubt B is maximum, because it is a part of distinct carboxyl group and is most acidic. B is maximum. B is maximum means you can eliminate second choice and third choice. What comes next? What comes next? B is maximum. Definitely minimum is A, because it is interacting with the triple bonded carbon. This is acidic, but that is minimum. This is minimum and this is maximum, while this is acidic, and more than this. So B maximum, A minimum, we get our answer fourth choice, and the answer order will be B, C, D, A. After B it is C. After B it is C. Why? Because it is influenced by an electron withdrawing group at para position. The OH group is influenced by an electron withdrawing group at a para position. I am sure all of you agree. The presence of electron withdrawing group increases the acidic character, especially at a para position. While this also having electron withdrawing group, but it is at a meta position. At a meta position, electronic effects are less influenced. All of you know. So after B, it will be C, then it is D, and minimum it will be A. Hence the answer. Next. The molecular geometry of SF6 is octahedral. What is the geometry of SF4, including lone pairs of electrons, if any, including lone pairs? That is well explained in the textbook content, all of you know, in the tables. Say for example, chemical bonding is the chapter, table 4.6, table 4.7. If you refer, you can find various examples are quoted as part of explanation demonstration of VSEPR theory. Chemical bonding is the chapter, where you can see the geometry of electronic system and the shape of the molecule explained separately in different columns. You can find it is asked for geometry of SF4, geometry for SF4, SF4, valence electrons of sulfur 6, surrounding monovalent atoms 4, divided by 2, you get the electron pairs, it is 5. When it is 5, you know it is sp3 dehybridization. 5 means sp3d hybridization. So it go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is sp3d hybridization, and there are 4 fluorine, which I'm sure you agree to. It is seesaw shape. It is seesaw shape, but the molecular geometry, including the lone pair of electron, it is trigonal bipyramidal. Trigonal bipyramidal. Third choice will be the correct answer. Trigonal bipyramidal. Third choice will be the correct answer. Okay. Next question. An organic compound A, C9H10O, when treated with a concentrated HI, undergo cleavage to yield compound B and C. B gives yellow precipitate with the silver nitrate, whereas C tautomerizes to D, and D gives positive iodoform test. Suppose if you are taking first choice. I am sure all of you agree, when it is interacting with the HI, see, it is interacting over here and of course over here also. Let us talk about an interaction here. The interaction, all of you know, it is not going to break here, rather it is going to break here. Here it will break, because this cannot be broken due to partial double bond character due to resonance. And what is the molecule you are going to get there? It is CH3 with the benzene ring OH, and see, hydrogen comes with the oxygen. It is going to break here. Hydrogen comes with the oxygen, and see, interaction with HI, and iodine comes with this. This is what you are going to get, B and C. B gives yellow precipitate with the silver nitrate, or vice versa, B or C, like that. And C tautomerizes to give D. It's easy to understand. Neither this molecule or that molecule can give you a tautomerized condition. Neither this or that can give you a tautomerized condition, and hence that choice is not valid. Upon simple investigation, you can identify. You see, here also similar situation, while this will be our answer. The last fourth choice will be our answer, because when it is interacting with the HI, no doubt, it is going to cleave here. Giving O minus and CH2 plus, as it is a benzyl carbocation. Definitely I minus is going to be here and H plus is going to be there. And what will be the product obtained there? Let's examine. This is what the product in the fourth choice. You have benzene ring and CH2I, that is benzyl iodide. Let this be product C. And what is the next one? It is CH2 double bond CHOH, and that is, I'm sorry, let this be B and C. Doesn't matter B or C, whatever it is, no problem. And now B gives yellow precipitate with the silver nitrate. Definitely B gives yellow precipitate with the silver nitrate. As you can find, Ag plus, it will be easily cleaved due to benzyl carbocation. Ag plus with I minus, you will get yellow AgI precipitation with the B. Now C tautomerizes. Definitely this C will tautomerize. This hydrogen will migrate to this position and this double bond will migrate to that position. You get CH3CHO, which is the most stable form, ethanol. And you know, methyl carbinol and methyl keto group molecules gives iodoform test. This can give you iodoform test. This when treated with say iodine and alkali. This when treated with the iodine and alkali followed by hydrolysis, ultimately it is going to break here and there is an oxidation reaction. You get CHI3 iodoform and HCOO minus. Methyl keto, this contain a methyl keto group. Methyl keto group containing molecules, methyl carbonyl group containing molecules generally gives iodoform reaction. And that satisfies the indications commented in the question, and that is our answer. Fourth choice will be the answer. None of the other choices will satisfy, as I have seen in the first case. Okay. Next question. Two compounds A and B with the same molecular formula C3H6O undergo Grignard reaction with methyl magnesium bromide to give products C and D. Products C and D show following chemical test. Test for C and D, ferric ammonium nitrate test. That is yet another point. So this is the second point we see, which we don't learn in the textbook content or syllabus content, came in the question out of syllabus point. The reaction with the ferric ammonium nitrate test. It is a test for alcohols. It is a test for alcohols. And that is positive test. Lucas test. Two observations are given. Turbidity obtained after 5 minutes. Turbidity obtained immediately means it is a tertiary alcohol. In Lucas test, immediate turbidity means D will be a tertiary alcohol. Iodoform test, positive for C and negative for D. Positive for C and negative for D. So what will be the C and D respectively? D is a tertiary alcohol. D is a tertiary alcohol in the first case, in the second case, in the third case it is not. So you can eliminate third choice. You can eliminate third choice because D is not a tertiary alcohol. See, immediate turbidity in Lucas test means D should be a tertiary alcohol. Fourth one also you can delete because it is D not a tertiary alcohol, while here D is a tertiary alcohol. So this is okay and this is okay. Now without examining, see, I told you this is a point out of syllabus. Even you don't know anything about that, you can answer. Because among the two, this will be our answer. Because this can give you iodoform test. There is positive iodoform test. There is positive iodoform test given by C. That is for here. While this cannot give you an iodoform test. Because for iodoform test to perform, as I said earlier, there must be a methyl carbinol group or a methyl keto group. There is no methyl carbinol group in this molecule. In this sequence, that is the second choice. We don't have a methyl carbinol group. There is a methyl carbinol group over there, which upon subsequent oxidation, you can get a methyl keto group. This upon the compound C, upon subsequent oxidation, you will be able to get CH3, CH2, CO, CH3. This is methyl keto group, and that can give you iodoform test. And upon iodoform test, it is going to cleave here, and this part of the molecule will be converted to iodoform CHI3, and the remaining part of the molecule will undergo oxidation product leading to CH3, CH2, COO minus. That is an acid molecular part. So that is possible only in the first case. So our answer is first choice. So to conclude the answer, when you look at the point given regarding D and C, especially Lucas test, you can easily identify D is a tertiary alcohol. Once you understand D is a tertiary alcohol, these two choices gone. Now left with this and this. Now when you investigate on the third point of C, it is positive iodoform test. It could be only this, not this. We are arriving into the answer. Now regarding the first one, ferric ammonium nitrate. Ferric ammonium nitrate, you will get a complex molecule when treated with alcohols. Ferric ammonium nitrate. This is ferric ammonium nitrate. NH4 twice CE NO3 6 times. This is ceric ammonium nitrate. This, when interacting with alcohol, any alcohol, you will get ROH twice, CE, NO3 4 times. You get a pink colored or sometimes a red colored complex is obtained. This is a test for alcohols. This is a test for alcohols, reaction with the ceric ammonium nitrate. We don't learn that in our textbook content. Even though you don't know that point, you can answer this question. That is the interesting point. This obtained is somewhat in pink or reddish form. A complex is obtained. Next question. So the answer is first choice. Cast iron used for the manufacturing of a textbook question only. It is used for producing first, second, third choice is the correct answer. It is used for preparing wrought iron and steel. Textbook question only. Next. Among the following statements regarding adsorption, those that are valid statements are. First statement. Delta H becomes less negative. Delta H becomes less negative as adsorption proceeds. You know, adsorption is an exothermic process. As the process proceeds, it becomes less negative because the surface area is, when more surface area is occupied, the exothermic nature of the reaction gradually decreases. That's a true statement. On a given adsorbent, ammonia is adsorbed more than nitrogen gas. You know, ammonia is an easily liquefiable gas and the molecular attraction provided by ammonia is greater. So, ammonia is an easily adsorbing gas compared to a regular gas, that is nitrogen. That is a true statement. On adsorption, the residual forces acting along the surface of the adsorbent increases. No, the residual forces during adsorption, as the absorption proceeds, the residual forces decreases. That's why the first statement is correct. The third statement is wrong. Actually, the residual forces decreases. Therefore, enthalpy decreases. Fourth statement, with increase in temperature, the equilibrium concentration of adsorbate decreases. With increase in temperature, we know it's a method to provide desorption. It is adsorption decreasing. That too is a wrong statement. So, A and B. Second choice is the correct answer. Simple conceptual question. Next one. 3 elements X, Y, Z are in the third period. The oxides of X, Y, Z are basic, amphoteric and acidic. The correct order of atomic number. You know, from left to right it is in the increasing atomic number. Right? It is said that X oxide is basic. It is said that X, Y, Z. This is basic, this is amphoteric and this is acidic. That is the usual trend what we find in the periodic table. In the left hand side of the periodic table, it is more electropositive elements. Electropositive element oxides are basic in nature. While you come to somewhat mid in the periodic table, it is amphoteric in nature. Many of the elements, aluminum oxide, zinc oxide, etc. are amphoteric in nature. While you go to right hand side in the periodic table, it is more electronegative element oxides are acidic in nature. So, the order of element is X, Y, Z as in the periodic table and the atomic number increasing order is X, Y, Z order and the correct answer is first choice. A fundamental question based on the trend and the nature of elements in the periodic table. Okay, next. 2 elements A and B have similar chemical properties. They don't form solid hydrogen carbonates, but react with the nitrogen to form nitrites. A and B respectively are. Yet another very fundamental question from the textbook explaining the characters of lithium and magnesium. That is the answer. Lithium and magnesium. These are explained in the textbook as characters of lithium and magnesium, as the anomalous character of lithium when you learn about alkali metals, and diagonal similarity between lithium and magnesium. All these points are explained in the textbook, fundamental factual point. It is lithium and magnesium which will satisfy the conditions which are given. If you read NCERT, you can easily answer. Next one. The work function of sodium metal is given. Work function of sodium metal is given. 4.41 into 10 power minus 19 joules. If photon of wavelength 300 nanometer are incident on the metal, the kinetic energy of ejected electrons will be. We have to find the kinetic energy of ejected electron. So, kinetic energy of ejected electron, which is reported to be a value dash into 10 power 21 joules. So, what is here? That is what you need to find out. You know, kinetic energy is equal to h nu minus h nu 0. And this actually is work function. This actually is work function, that is threshold energy. That is work function, threshold energy. So this value is given straight away. This value is given straight away, and the value given is 4.41 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Now you just find out this value and find out your answer. H nu is equal to hc by lambda. H value you know, c value you know, and lambda value given in the question. So lambda value given, it is 300 nanometer, and that is equal to 300 into 10 power minus 9 meters. H value known to you, or rather it is given. H value is given 6.63 into 10 power minus 34. H value given, C value given. You can find out this value, thereby you can find out Ke value, and that answer is reported in this format. In that format, what will be this part? That will come as an answer. So work out this, get your value and report that in terms of 10 power 21 power. That will give you the answer. Okay. Next. For the disproportionation reaction, 2Cu plus aqueous giving Cu solid plus Cu2 plus aqueous in 298 Kelvin. Log K we need to find out. Log K, where K is equilibrium constant. Once again, it is reported in a particular way. We need to find log K. You know the relation? E0 is equal to RT by NF log K. We need to get this. Therefore, log K is equal to N E0 NF divided by RT. E0 NF divided by RT. RT by F value is given to you. So it is E0 into N divided by RT by F. This value is given in the question. Now once you get E0, once you know N is very simple to understand. No, it is one electron transfer. So N is one electron transfer. Cu plus becomes Cu, N equal to 1. Cu plus becomes Cu2 plus N is equal to 1. So N value is 1. So it is basically E0. Getting E0 is a point here. Getting E0 is a point here. And once again, this value is reported as into 10 power minus 1. So you have to get this value, report it in this format, and this is the answer. So how to get E0? How to get E0? The corresponding standard potentials are given. You see, Cu plus becomes Cu. Cu plus becomes Cu. Cu plus becomes Cu. That is 0.52. Now, Cu plus becomes Cu2 plus. Cu plus becomes Cu. The potential is 0.52. Cu plus becomes Cu2 plus. The potential is minus 0.16. This is the net potential E0. That is the next potential. You add these two. That will be the next net potential. I repeat, Cu plus becoming Cu. Cu plus becoming Cu 0.52. That is one value. Cu plus becomes Cu2 plus. Cu plus becomes Cu2 plus. The value is Cu2 plus to Cu is plus 0.16. Cu plus to Cu2 plus, it is minus 0.16. Add the 2, you get E0. So now you have E0, you know N, you have this value given in the question. This is given in the question, 0.025. You can get log K, report log K in this format and find out what is coming here as the answer. Okay. Next. The oxidation state of transition metal atoms K2Cr2O7, KMnO4, K2FeO for potassium ferrate respectively are XYZ. The sum of XYZ is. And yet another simple fundamental question. K2Cr2O7, all of you know it is plus 6. KMnO4, all of you know it is plus 7. And K2FeO4, you can easily find out. This is plus 1, this is minus 2 into 4 minus 8 and plus 2 it will be plus 6. So plus 6 plus 7 plus 13 plus 6 it is 19 come as the answer. 19 will come as the answer. Okay, simple question. And I think that is the, no, one more question there. 24th question. The heat of combustion of ethanol into carbon dioxide and water is minus 327 kilocalorie at a constant pressure. The heat evolved in calories at a constant volume and 27 degrees Celsius if all gases behave ideally. R value is given. So the reaction is combustion of ethanol. So it is C2H5OH plus oxygen. You get 2 carbon dioxide gas plus 6 hydrogen, 3 H2O. 3 H2O. No. Yeah. 5 hydrogen, 6 hydrogen, 3 H2O. Now it is 4 plus 3, 7. 4 plus 3, 7. So it will be 1 oxygen here. So it is 6. So it is 3 O2. This is in the liquid form. This is in the gaseous form. This is in the liquid form. And the value for this delta H given as minus 327 kilocalorie and asking for what is delta U. All of you know the relation. Delta H is equal to delta U plus delta N RT and hence delta U is equal to delta H minus delta N RT, and this answer we need to report in calories. The answer we need to report in calories. So better express this value in calories. Express this value in calories. Minus 327 kilocalorie minus 327 into 10 raised to 3 calories minus delta N. Delta N will be, this is liquid, gas, liquid. So it is 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3. So it is minus 1. So it is minus 1 into R value given 2 calories into temperature 27, 300 will take you to the answer. This will take you to the answer. Okay. Next. So that is the last question from the paper. The ratio of mass percentage of carbon and hydrogen and carbon and oxygen of a saturated acyclic organic compound X are 4:1, 3:4 respectively. Then the moles of oxygen gas required for complete combustion of 2 moles of organic compound X is. See what given? Carbon hydrogen percentage is given as 4:1. And also given carbon oxygen percentage as 3:4. Carbon oxygen percentage as 3:4. This is what given. So carbon hydrogen percentage 4:1. Carbon oxygen percentage 3:4. So it is given separately. You make it into 3 in the order. Very simple. Very simple. You see that 4. When this is 4, this is 1. So when this is 1, this will be 1/4. So carbon hydrogen is 1:1/4. When carbon is 1, hydrogen is 1/4. When carbon is 3, hydrogen will be 3/4. So we get the ratio of all the 3 together. Carbon 3, hydrogen 3/4, oxygen 4. Now you know what is the procedure for finding the empirical formula. It is 3/12. 3/12, 12 is the atomic mass of carbon. 3/4 divided by 1, that is the atomic mass of hydrogen, so 3/4 itself. And 4/16, 16 the atomic mass of oxygen. So divide with atomic mass. Atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, so it is 3/4 itself. So you get 1/4, 3/4, 1/4, that is 1:3:1. And your empirical formula is CH3O. And the minimum molecule will be C2H6O2. C2H6O2, which is a very famous compound, all of you know. Ethylene glycol, CH2OH. CH2OH. I am taking as an example the very next member of this, because such a molecule we cannot explain. No, it's an empirical formula. So I am taking the minimum compound, the next molecular formula, actual molecular formula taken 2 times. So it is C2H6O2, which is ethylene glycol. Now this ethylene glycol undergo combustion. What is asked for is number of moles of oxygen gas required for the complete combustion of 2 mole of the organic compound X. So this is X. This is X. Burns with the oxygen. You get 2 carbon. You get 2 carbon dioxide. And there are hydrogen, 6 hydrogen. So you get 3 H2O. You get 3 H2O. So the oxygen required will be 7 oxygen, of which 2 is here. So it is 5 oxygen required. That means this will be 2.5. So the oxygen required for 1 mole, for the complete combustion of 1 mole, the oxygen required is 2.5 mole. What asked is for 2 mole combustion. What asked is for 2 mole combustion. Complete combustion of 2 mole of the organic compound. For 1 mole you need 2.5. For 2 mole you need 5. So amount of oxygen required for 1 mole. For 1 mole you need 2.5. Therefore for 2 moles, that is our answer. It is 5. 5 is the correct answer. That was the last question, and that was the discussion over this paper. The questions was pretty simple. Only 2 or 3 questions above average standard, and in 2 questions we find certain points out of syllabus we don't learn in the textbook. That was the overall analysis of the paper. Actually the paper was very simple. Okay, that's all from the discussion of this particular paper. September 2020, September 2nd exam conducted on the 2nd shift. Okay, there we sign off. Divagaran sir from Professor P.C. Thomas classes, Thrissur, Kerala. Okay, bye.